Good afternoon, class. I feel like I need some theme music or something like that. I need something to lead me in to to these classes. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe that's too much. All right, guys. So here we are. We're in a new week, and we are going to work this week through the last chapter in the textbook, chapter 10. The last chapter in the textbook is chapter 10. So we're working through that this week, and then that's all the new material from the textbook. And we got a few more weeks of lab work to do, and then the rest of the semester is fun time. You guys can work on your projects. I'm sure there'll be some little mini lessons here and there, some interesting things that I want to teach you about. But the focus after we're done with this is the lab practicum coming up, a second exam, and then your projects, which are due during finals week. All right, gang. So I hope you guys are doing all right and hanging in there. It's a dreary day. See sun maybe trying to poke through out there. I don't know. It's a nasty week. All right, let's start talking. Chat line's open. Got any questions or comments? Drop a note there. Keeping my eye on it. All right, so chapter 10 is it deals with knowledge with presenting your data. It deals with formatting your maps, and so that includes symbology, and it also includes labels, which we haven't done much with today. But ArcGIS Pro has this built-in, let's call it a labeling engine that allows labels to be assigned to features on your map, and can do some really fancy stuff like automatically determine where the label should be so that it minimizes overlaps. And so we're going to experiment with some of those features today. All right, and then there's a unit on making a layout, which you already know about, but we'll revisit again, and uploading maps to ArcGIS Online. Okay, so some of this stuff is stuff you've seen before, but there's some new stuff peppered in here. All right. So the data, the map that goes along, the project that goes along with chapter 10 is information about broadband coverage in the state of, you know what state this is? Utah. You know what Utah's state motto is? Don't look it up. Don't look it up. Let's see if anybody knows. Put it in the chat. If you know what Utah's state motto is, put it in the chat. It's a good one. It's a good one. But what we're seeing here is, let me close this up. And what we're seeing here is a lot of data. You zoom in here, there are a lot of features on this map. And the features are very complicated. Look at those outlines. Let's see. So we got a layer. Let's turn this wireless broadband off. Wireline broadband. We got a different color coded for these different unique features, and these polygons correspond, and the colors correspond to different download speeds, maximum download speeds. And so green, the way it's here, red is faster download speeds, 50 megabits per second or faster, and green is slower. I wonder if that should be reversed. Oh well. We'll keep it the way it is for now. And when you zoom in here and you see, look at this, when the layers are rendering, you see there's overlap. I mean, these layers are really overlapped. It's weird. You look at this and it's like the green layer is on top, and that's not really what you would want. You'd want, I think you have these overlapping layers, um, representing, I guess, different networks, different broadband networks. But I think you'd want your map to show the fastest access speed for a given area on top, so you can see it, and that's definitely not the case here. So we have a problem here. Sorry, this is skipping ahead a little bit, but since we're talking about this, let's do this right now. We got a problem here that the layers are not being rendered in the right order, or at least the order that we think they should. So let's see if we can fix that. So if I click on this layer and go to Appearance, I could right click on here and go to Symbology, but another way to get here is to go to Appearance, Symbology, and if you click this tab up here in the Symbology pane, Symbol Layer, what's it called? Hover, Symbol Layer Drawing, and click on there. Oops. And maybe I want to rearrange the layers that are here, and I can't do it. I wish I could just click here and drag. Well, that's because I just got to turn this function on. Enable Symbol Layer Drawings. If I click this on, actually it'll fix our problem right away. But now I can, like, if I wanted to move the green to the top, I could click and drag it to the top. And now the green's on the top. But I don't want green on top. I want green on the bottom, because green is slow. Red is fast. Okay. So now the red color will be on the top. You can tell it's really a chore to render all these this layer. But there we go. So red is the fastest network speed. Should be on top. Alright, mission accomplished. Nobody knows. Sorry, the answer to my question? Nobody knows my trivia question? Don't look it up. No cheating. What's the state motto? You know, you drive into West Virginia and the sign says, "Wild and Wonderful, West Virginia. Wild and Wonderful." What do those signs say when you drive into Utah? It's a good. Don't look it up though. I want to see if anybody knows. Maybe nobody does know. All right, so back to our map here. So I do know. Oh, James, it's our slogan, not our. What's our motto? Oh, our motto is Semper Sic Tyrannis. Is that right? Semper Sic Tyrannis. Oh, maybe that's Virginia. Virginia. Thus always to tyrants. It's pretty bad. Pretty bad. I mean, not bad in a bad in a Michael Jackson way. That's pretty. That's a pretty cool slogan or motto. Sorry, what is the? Oh, Mountaineers are always free is our motto. Our slogan is Wild and Wonderful. All right. So I guess what I'm asking is, what is the slogan of Utah? Does anybody know? All right. So back to here. Wireless broadband layers. Let's turn off the wireline broadband and turn on wireless broadband. Check that out. Excuse me. And this is a little confusing to me. I don't know. This data, because wireless, it's got cable modem and DSL. It's not really wireless. That's not, well, it's exactly not wireless. Cables are not wireless. So it's a little weird. But it also has satellite and terrestrial fixed wireless, licensed and unlicensed, mobile wireless. So there's a lot more stuff here than we actually want to visualize. And let's visualize this a little bit by doing a definition query. Let's trim this down by doing a definition query on this layer. So you can right click and go to Properties, Definition Query. Here's a shortcut way of getting there. If you click on this feature layer, wireless broadband, you can go up to the feature layer data tab. And over here, see it says definition query right here. So if you click that little button here, that window pops up. And I know that, and you look over here in the symbology, We're gonna restrict things to terrestrial fixed wireless. So those are categories 70 and 71 in the technology of transmission field. So let's pull just those out. So where is it? Technology of transmission is equal to 70, or, not and, but or, we want both of these. Transmission technology of transmission is equal to 71. And click apply. Okay. Alright, so that gets rid of a lot of stuff. So a lot of these zones look like circles, and that makes sense to me. You know, I mean, it's patchwork, but there's sort of a circular outline to these regions because, you know, wireless technology tends to be, well, it is serviced by antennas that have a broadcast range. You know, cell towers, that sort of thing. All right. So let's see, what's next? Oh, okay. Let me show you something that you can do with definition queries. You can let's click edit. If you want to check that your query is verified, you can click this button right here. And if you want to, like, these queries are queries to databases which use commands that are called SQL commands. So if you want to actually see what the raw commands are that are being sent to the database, you can click this little slider here and it turns it on and off. So this is the actual command that's being sent to the geodatabase to return just the features for Transtech 70 or Transtech 71. But we usually don't work at that level of abstraction. It's much more easy to use this query builder to build and run queries. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so if we go over here, and let's go to, so our primary symbology here is unique values, and we're showing the field of technology of transmission, but let's make this look like the other layer, the wireline broadband layer. So let's change this to maximum advertised download speed. Okay, so now we're visualizing the download speeds of these different areas. And if we look at, make this a little bigger, so how many different classes do we have here? Every unique value in this field, maximum advertised download speed, has a class assigned to it. So we got we got 11 fields here. You know, the color scheme is kind of, it's not really appropriate. Let's say that you know, some of these like less than 200 kilobits per second, that's too slow to visualize on our map. We don't want to include it. So if there's a class that you don't want to include on your map when you're trying to get the symbology just right, you don't want to include this class, you can right click on it and then click remove. See ya. And this blue one here, greater than 200 kilobits per second but less than 768. Maybe you don't care about speeds that low, so you want to get rid of that. Right click, remove, see ya, it's gone. All right. So we got, these aren't really in order, are they? They're definitely not in order. Let me see. Let's sort this. If you right click on the top, let's do sort descending. Well, there's one in the other layer, the wireline broadband layer. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 classes, and here we have most of them match up, but then we got the 50 to 100, 100 to 1 gigabit per second, and greater than 1 gig. So let's combine those three classes. The three classes which are the fastest speed. So you can do that. Select this one, and then, oh, not, I've got to do control select. So this is the 50 megabits, greater than 50 megabits per second, greater than 100 megabits, and greater than 1 gigabit per second. So I want to combine these three classes. I can do that. Just select them and right click and do group values. Boom, done. See, 9, 10, and 11, and now one group. So, just to be clear here, these are things that I'm doing to this feature layer on my map. I'm not fundamentally changing the database. I'm not changing data. I'm not like deleting stuff in the database. I am just deleting features from my map. I'm not showing them, but I'm not changing the underlying data. Okay, it could all be undone. Or I could use that same feature class from the same geodatabase in another map and symbolize a completely different mix of features. All right. Still, nobody knows. Nobody knows. All right. I think I got to tell you. All right. So I think, I've been to a lot of states. And I think Utah I think it might have the best slogan. The best slogan. Their state slogan is Utah, life elevated. Well, that's pretty good. Life elevated. I tell you, you read that going in the state and you feel it. You feel elevated while you're in Utah. It's a pretty cool place. Okay. All right, so back to our symbology here. All other values, we don't want that. So if I go in this more menu, one of the options is to uncheck show all other values. Get rid of that. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 classes, just like the other one. And and we're in decreasing order of speed. Good. Okay. But now the color isn't right. We want to get the same color as we have up here. So that's a gradient from red to green. Let's go in here and see if we can pick that color scheme. So it's not one of these color schemes that are show for us. I mean, these are just randomly assigned colors, it looks like to me. So just click this thing, show all, and you'll see everything, every possible color scheme. So somewhere in here there should be color schemes which are this transition from green to red. I know they're in here somewhere. Red to blue. There we go. Okay. So we have 7 classes, so we want the one that has 7 classes. Red, yellow, green, 7 classes. There it is. So we got outlines around these polygons, and there's no outlines around the polygons in the other layer, which are turned off right now. So let's turn off all the black outlines. And so if you want to do something to all the different symbols, there's an option here in the More menu. More, Format all symbols. You can't see that. It's going off the screen, I know. But it says Format all symbols. Pick that and go to Properties, Outline Color. Outline Color. So we want no outline. So I'll select No, Apply. All right. And maybe we want to be able to see, if we have both these layers on at the same time, we want to be able to see the wireline and the wireless broadband at the same time. So maybe we want to make one of these layers transparent, a little partially transparent. So you can do that. You can go up here to Appearance. So I select that feature layer, wireless broadband, go up here to Appearance, and then here I can set transparency levels. So maybe something around 40%. There we go. So we have 40% transparency on these wireless broadband layers. Well, you know what? It looks like the layers, the way the layers are rendering, are not correct. Let me put that back up to 100% or 0% transparency so we can see this again. So it looks like the way the layers are being drawn here is incorrect. If we want the fastest speed to be on top, it's not that way right now. It's kind of near the bottom. So we got to reorganize the way the layers are drawn. Do you remember how to do that? You want to rearrange the way the layers are being rendered here on our map. Do you remember? Right here, symbol layer drawing. Erin says that she grew up Latter-day Saints Mormon, and their slogan for Utah was always the homeland. Well, that makes perfect sense. It is the homeland for, well, I guess not the original homeland, for the adopted homeland of Mormons. I gotta tell you, when we were out of Utah this summer, we stayed in we went to Airbnbs, and one of the Airbnbs we went to was in a relatively small town called Vernal, Utah. It's up in the northeastern corner of Utah, and we stayed in a Airbnb that was like a grain bin, one of those aluminum, or not aluminum, steel, corrugated steel cylinders with the cone roof on top, and it was converted into a little apartment, and it was awesome. It was like such a cool place. I was like, this is really cool. Got to stay inside of a grain silo, but it was beautiful inside. And we get up in the morning and we're like, first thing I look forward to in the morning is coffee. And I get up in the morning and I'm like, wait a minute, there's no coffee maker in this apartment. And then it struck me, I was like, I wonder if they're, A, the owners of this are Mormon, and 2, if that's something that isn't allowed in Mormon culture. I don't know, maybe one of you know. But that was my best guess. I was like, well, all Airbnbs have coffee makers, and that's like the only thing they didn't have. And I was like, caffeine. Maybe Mormons don't drink caffeine. Is that true? All right, back to the map. They got me good. Is that true, Aaron? That drinking caffeine isn't something Mormons do? Yes, it is an addiction. I am addicted to caffeine in a way that troubles me some days. But it really does taste good. I could drink decaf. But the layers aren't being drawn here right. So we'll go into this symbol layer drawing and enable this feature again. And now I can drag the layers around. It looks like they're exactly reversed. So we'll put the red on top, and then the orange, and then the light orange, and then the yellow, and yellow-green, and light green and dark green. So we get all the layers. So now the layers are rendering in this order, the drawing order on this screen, which is what we want. All right, make it a little transparent. Okay. So let's see. Let me take a look at the chapter and see what else, what are the tips or tricks that they have in here. So they do some work with renaming these categories, which this one we should definitely rename. Greater than, there's 3 categories combined. So really all these categories are greater than or equal to 50 megabits per second. So we can just change that name. So these other category names are fine. They're a little long, You know, we could simplify them. But these labels are fine for our purposes here today. But you know, you guys know this. If you want to change the way that your classes are labeled in your legend, this is where you do it. You open the Symbology tab and you can just change them right in here. All right. Let's see, what else? All right, order. All right. So let's move on to labeling. All right, so labeling is where you have a feature on your map and there's a label right next to it. And there's another map in this project called Community Anchor Institutes. And it's got a feature layer with a bunch of point locations, point features on it. So let's take a look at it, and we'll turn on labeling. So here's Community Anchor Institute. They got lots of points. These correspond. Looks like these are libraries, and these are locations of libraries, and whether or not they have public Wi-Fi. And it looks like there's no red dots on the map. I don't see any red dots. So all these libraries either have yes public Wi-Fi or it's unknown. So let's move into Utah County. And watch this. If I click on this feature layer, libraries, and if I right click on it, I can turn on labeling in this menu, enable labeling. Another way you do it is just go up here to the feature layer labeling tab and then click label. And so one thing to note here, well, let's turn it on. All right. Ugh, that looks ugly. So every single feature on the map has a label attached to it, and you can see that let's look at the attribute table here. This feature in the geodatabase has these attributes associated with each feature. Try to make this a little bigger. And one of these fields is called, where is it? I thought I saw it. There, anchor name. So if you go to labeling, the field that's being used as the label for each of these features is the value in anchor name. So if I select one of these and zoom to, so it's right there, Cedar City Public Library. But I don't want any selections on it right now. All right, so we're looking at these. Let's go back to Utah County. These library names, and there's too many of them. There's too many of them. So what we're going to do is we'll go to labeling. You know how, like, if you have features on a map and there's too many features and you want to reduce the number of features that are being shown, you could build definition queries like we just did earlier. You can build definition queries to focus on just certain types of features, and you can do the same thing when it comes to labeling. And so in this case, you are not eliminating features from your map. You're not going to eliminate features from your map, but what you're going to do is you're going to in some way restrict the features that get labels. Okay, so what we'll do here is let's see. There's green dots and blue dots. So let's do this. Let's create a definition query for labels that only put labels on the blue dots, not the green dots. So the places where public Wi-Fi is unknown, and that will simplify the map a great deal. And the way you do this is in the labeling pane there, or ribbon, ribbon, there's a place where you can define a class for your labels, and that's where we're going to accomplish this. It's up here. See it up here? It says labeling class. So let's turn the default is class 1. Let's create a new one, a new labeling class, and we'll call it just something. Let's just call it custom. All right, and then we'll go to class 1. We're going to turn off the labels for class 1. All right, and then in the custom labeling, we're going to label by anchor name, but I'm going to open up this little button here. See, it says SQL query. All right, and you get this query builder, which is just like the query builder for filtering out the features that you don't want to visualize on your map. But here it's going to filter out. We want to define the features that we want to label attached to. So we want to, let's see, this is called public Wi-Fi, where public Wi-Fi is unknown, and let's apply that. There we go. Okay, so we've now restricted the labels to just the blue dots. The green dots don't have labels anymore. Okay, with this custom class, labeling class, which has this definition query assigned to it. So if we go back to class 1 and turn that on, everything pops up, including, I don't know if you can see this, but since we have class 1 and this custom class turned on, the blue dots get 2 labels now because they're being labeled by each of these classes. I'll turn that back off. Another thing that's popular when it comes to maps and labeling is, when you zoom out sufficiently far, well, now they disappeared. Oh, there they go. Okay, so when you zoom out sufficiently far, the labels can get really cluttered like this because now you have more features on the map. There's more blue dots than there were when you were zoomed in. And so one way to deal with that is up here in the Out Beyond box, set a scale. So we're at a scale now of 1 to about 275,000. So if we do a smaller scale than that, let's just pick a number here. How about 1 out of 500,000? So if we're zoomed out beyond 1 to 500,000, the labels disappear. And if we zoom in closer than that, the labels reappear. Okay, so we've seen that before, that little feature. If you go across that boundary, the zoom-wise, that scale, the labels appear, disappear, appear, disappear. Okay. Let's see, what else? So position. You select the class here. We are working with the custom class, and we have that definition query going for us. And over here you have a bunch of options for symbol and position. You know what I forgot to do? Oh, that's good. Okay. I forgot, before I started doing this, I forgot to make sure. So on the map tab in the labeling box here, you click the little more thing, more button, you get a bunch of options. We want this map LEX label engine turned on, Mapplex. Use Mapplex label engine, and it's already on. I didn't want to turn it off. So I just make sure Mapplex is on, and that uses the label engine and enables all these other features. All right. it's on by default, so you should never really have to worry about it. Let's see, placement. So if you go to the symbol in the custom is the name of my labeling class here, and if you are navigating this label class pane, you got these two options here for symbol and position. So in symbol, there's things like you can change the appearance of your labels, so you can change the font. I don't know, I like the font Tahoma. It's a nice font. But you can change it to any of the system fonts. Arial, that's too boring. I like Calibri. Calibri, is that how you say that? That's a nice, strong font. You can change the font size, you can change the font color, and do all that. And but down here, there's a whole bunch of other options too. This position isn't gonna. We don't want to screw around with this position too much. Notice that this other tab is called position. We'll look there in a second. Rotation, halo. You can specify shape for there to be a halo around your labels. So white, black. Here's 50% transparent white. So let's turn that on so I can show you what that looks like. See that? I made a white halo. It's really hard. I bet it's really hard for you guys to see. Maybe if I make these labels bigger. And then halo. You can change that. Maybe if I change the halo size. I guess it's gonna be ridiculous. There, now you can probably see it. It's like an outline around the text. And the reason you might want to do this is because it can make the text more readable. It increases the contrast between the text labels and the surround. So it's a nice effect. You can also add shadows. And so let's go to position now. Placement. So here you can choose, the option that's selected right now is best placement. So this Maplex labeling engine will pick it'll determine where the labels go that minimize overlaps and get the labels as close to the feature as possible. But there's a bunch of other features here, or options here. You can select you want the labels on the tops of points, to the right of points, left of points. There's lots of different options for where you want stuff to be, where you want your labels to be placed. You can even set these zones. It's a little confusing what's going on here, but think of these as these different zones. So your feature's in the middle, all right, and this is a 0, meaning never place the label right on the feature. But then as you go around, these are priorities. 1's highest and 9's lowest. There isn't even a 9. 1, 2. So this is saying, if possible, put the label to the upper right, and that's what's happening here. You see, it's the label's to the upper right. And if you can't do that, put it directly above it. And if you can't do that, put it directly to the right. And if you can't do that, put it to the upper left, and then lower right, and then left, and directly below it. And if you absolutely have to, put it in the lower right or lower left. So these are priorities where you want the labels to appear. All right. Where do you want the offset to be measured from? From the feature geometry, the exact symbol outline. For points, this probably doesn't matter that much. I changed it a little bit. But for polygons, these options probably make a difference. All right, so that's this. That's position. What else we got? Fitting strategy, stack. So here's an option here that's useful. Number of lines, it's set to 3. I don't really like the way that looks. Let's make this 2. Enter. There we go. So it just puts, instead of putting the labels in 3 layers, lines, it puts them in 2. If you click that off, it just puts it all in one line. But in this case, the labels are kind of long, so stacking the labels so that there's multiple lines works. But other times, might not work. Conflict resolution. You can specify, how much of a buffer you want between layers or labels. Removing duplicate layers, labels. This works if if you have 2 classes that are adding layers to the same features. You can remove duplicates. You can remove duplicates within a fixed distance, or remove all duplicates. There is all right. Let's switch over here to from position to symbol. No, we already did symbol. Position, placement. Shoot, I feel like there was one other thing I wanted to show you. Oh well. Okay, so all right, let me see. Let me take a look at my notes here and see what else I want to talk about. We talked about label placement. Okay. Let's add a database. There's a counties. There it is. Let's add this. Oh no, it's already on our map. So we got the counties outlined on our map here in gray. And let's add labels to the counties. So let's go select this feature layer and go to labeling. And we'll do a new class and we'll call it counties. Okay. And sorry, screwed up. We had the wrong section. So I don't think we need to. Well, all right, we'll do it. So we got this class. Maybe I'll rename it. Yeah, whatever. I don't think there's any things that we want to omit. But maybe we want to make this a little bit darker. Nah, too bright. So the counties. All right, let's stay with that. And let's turn on labeling for the counties. So I'll right-click on that feature layer and click labels. I could go up here, and well, I'll turn it on up here. And so the county labels appear centered in each of these polygons, or some semblance of being centered. But let's go and take a look at, shoot. labeling the position. So here we got there should be new options here for positioning our labels for these counties, because in this case we have polygon features instead of point features. So one of the options is boundary placement, and so that's, you see what it did there? It put the labels on the boundaries, and I'm sure you've seen this before on maps. The labels themselves help you locate the boundaries of the counties. It's pretty slick. So you can also do, like, now there should be another option in conflict resolution. Yep, there it is, repeat. So the labels are repeating along the boundaries, and we can change the interval to, you know, something like, I don't know, let's try 2, 1. So you change that the interval to 1 inch, and now it shows, if I zoom in, it should show more of them. Yeah, it shows the county names more frequently. So it's almost like the labels, well, it is exactly like the labels themselves are helping to define the boundaries of the counties. Okay, so we put them, and this appears here because these labels are on polygon features, the county boundaries, and we're doing boundary placement and placing along the boundary. And then in the conflict resolution options, there's this option for options for repeat, and you can specify how often you want the boundary, in this case the labels, to repeat along the perimeter of the boundary. Okay, so that's a cool feature. All right, so let's call it a day. That's all most of what I want to show you today. We will pick this up on Wednesday, and we'll get through the rest of this this chapter 9, and I'll see you then. Wait, let me check the chat, see if anybody has any questions. Nope, no questions. So you guys have a great day, rest of your day, and I will see you on Wednesday.